Thanks, guys, for having me. Uh, yeah, so I think it's a apt slide after Mustafa just presented. Is that this what we are talking about is I'm not sure how many of you guys have heard about the Polygon ag layer, but this is basically we believe is the next step, or standing on the shoulders of modularity. The next stage is aggregation. And that is what Polygon has been working on, and I'll go through that. So this is like the mission of Polygon is this quest for this infinite network, because like in the blockchain space we have typically the infra has been a very investable asset class for the VCs, crypto VCs and all that, and the chains, L1 chains, if you can have the next Ethereum killer and all that, this has always been a theme for the VC investments and all that. And anytime a new chain comes up and they will be like, okay, we have this much TPS, we have 500. It started with Polygon POS itself, did like 200, 300, 400 TPS back in the day. Then you had okay, we will have 10,000 TPS. Somebody would say we would have 50,000 TPS, 100,000 TPS. Like now there are claims of 150,000 TPS on one single chain. The point is that no matter what constant number you talk about, that this big chain, and you can crank up a particular state machine, no matter how much you crank it up, it still is not enough if we all expect the Web3 to go mainstream, right? Because I can tell you that because all these like Instagrams and Reddits and all these NFTs, they live on Polygon, like all of these stuff. And we used to talk about Instagram when they were going to mint NFTs, and they'd be like, even if we make it like free to use or open to use in the smallest geographies of Instagram worldwide, it will choke not only Polygon's chain but all the chains that were existing at that point in time. So point is that these shared fixed capacity chains are not the answer for this. The answer is like an infinitely growing network. Like how about 1 million TPS? How about 10 million TPS? Or I would even say, and you will see in the coming 3-4 years, you would probably start seeing, not like 3-4-5 years, but maybe over time, probably 1 billion TPS on these chains, at least the capacity on the front. And currently when we talk about this monolithic scalability, it is like always like some constant number, constant, and constantly we started with Bitcoin 7, 10. Today, these days, Solana is very popular, 3,500 TPS on some of the days they are able to clock. Polygon POS also consistently clocks 170, 200 TPS and generates a large amount of fees, but it's still a constant number. So how do we prepare the Web3 infra for the internet scale adoption? And on the internet, just to give you a simple analogy is that, when you landed in Brussels, you are not looking for Brussels internet to connect into, right? You came in here, you brought some telecom package, and and boom, you are connected to the global internet. And this is not true for the blockchains today. If you are on Polygon POS or Arbitrum or Optimism or Solana and all that, you are in some silo. And then if you want to use an application on some other blockchain, which you like, let's say you wanted to use Polymarket on Polygon, which is very popular these days because of the US elections, and you have your assets on Ethereum mainnet, you have to bridge. If you are on Arbitrum or Solana, you have to bridge using some third-party bridge, and then you can use those applications. The internet doesn't work that way. I just connect on my phone and I can connect to any application available to me anywhere in the world, whether it is built by a team in Iceland or Japan or wherever, right? So how do we prepare Web3 for the internet scale? And it needs to have these two things. Like first, and that modular structure, as Mustafa was presenting, that enables that, right? It's not like fighting for the same set of users across all the blockchains. It achieves like practically infinite TPS. As many chains you can have infinite TPS, especially some of the like modular designs using data availability. But let's say if you start using ZK also, then data availability for the ZK chain, Validium's data availability on something like what I'm going to talk about, like on Ag layer, data availability becomes also infinitely scalable. That means the chains can use any data availability layer that users or the developers want to use. So practically infinite TPS comes from this modular design, but then you run into the issues of fragmentation, which is, we were talking that users have to bridge the funds and all that. So how do we solve these two issues both? Because both are important to take the Web3 to the internet scale. And that's where what we are building, that is like we called Ag layer, the aggregation layer. And what Ag layer is this neutral decentralized service, which is a pay-as-you-go service. I'll talk more about that. That enables this safe interoperability between the connected chains and also unifies the liquidity. Right, and when I say the safe interoperability, some people might, is it like a bridge? Like it's a infrastructure on top of which bridges are building. It's more of I think of Ag layer as more of a blockchain of blockchains, where there are multiple sovereign blockchains. You can think of it as in a very weird analogy, you can think of all these chains connected into the Ag layer in a way that is, they can be called shards, but they are actually not really shards. They are all sovereign chains. And that is one of the biggest unlocks of Ag layer, that any chain connected into the Ag layer, they can be completely sovereign. They can choose, and Mustafa was also mentioning like VMs, they can choose their own VM. Like they don't need to be EVM. They can be, we ourselves are building, for example, opt-in privacy plus high throughput VM, which is Maiden VM. Many of you guys would have heard about that. So it enables the developers to choose any kind of VM. You could choose Arbitrum Orbit, Optimism stack, any other stack, Sovereign's SDK, whatever stack you want to use, you can use that stack to still connect into the Ag layer and connect into this larger internet and or this Web3 internet. And the thing is that you can choose any decentralization profile. You can have a fully decentralized layer 1 like Near protocol, which is connecting into Ag layer. You can have a single sequencer. You can have like privacy enabled chain. Anything can connect into Ag layer, and then that makes it the users on that chain become like interconnected across all the chains. So the end goal for Ag layer is that all these chains combined feel like one single chain. And what is the offering of Ag layer is like, the most important thing is it offers a safety guarantee for all the chains that are connected into it. With obviously that once you have that safety guarantee, these chains can interoperate with each other natively. When I say interoperate, it's not about, and again, I want to go back to the internet analogy. In the internet, previously it used to be, and if you see, that's why it's called internet. It's a connection of multiple local networks like LANs, WANs, and so many other smaller networks. This is basically the interoperability. The current internet is the internet of information. The data can seamlessly flow from one place to another. The internet that we all are trying in the crypto industry to build is this internet of value, where the value can seamlessly flow across any of these chains easily. So that's where, I mean, although this meme is like very misused or abused in crypto, like this TCP/IP of this. But if you look at like Ag layer a little bit deeply, you would realize that this is something similar to like a fat TCP/IP, actually, that protocol that can be like a small part in the wheel. Still, these blockchains who are actually having distribution to the users, they will play a much larger role. But this is a small part of an essential part of the entire infrastructure. That's how we are trying to build Ag layer, as that the minimally value extractive. Like this is the part like I wanted to mention, that there are some architectures we are thinking about, like in the crypto industry there are multiple architectures being thought like that, where the interoperability can be achieved. But many of them are like currently in terms of their economic architecture, they are like rent seeking. That means you have to offer X percentage of your revenue of the sequencer to that chain. And for an app builder, it's super hard to kind of like think like, okay, especially when if there's like the app is well funded and they feel that there's a big future for them in the future, it's very hard for them to commit X percentage of their chain's fees continuously to a platform and all that. Whereas like on ag layer, we are completely agnostic to this. Like if a user, if a developer wants to use a very high quality VM and wants to pay for it, it's absolutely great. Like, for example, Arbitrum Orbit offers a very good, like, Mustafa was all mentioning like stylus and other features. It's a great software to run their chains. And for them, like we see developers are, willing to pay fees. The thing is for ag layer, that does not matter which stack they are using and what is the, revenue share on their sequencers or other part of their ecosystem. Ag layer simply intends to provide them a simple, and straightforward interop, which is safe, and the value can move around, easily. And some of the other benefits of ag layer is like, obviously these tokens can have native tokens. They have like safe cross-chain transactions. And then, like some of the functionality, like, the bridge and call functionality that ag layer offers is like, which also allows, if you are like actually a chain builder and you connect into the ag layer, like properly with the unified liquidity, then any of the chain, if any chain in the ecosystem, let's say OKX chain or Polygon POS, which is like, shortly will connect into the ag layer, any chain is connected to an exchange, then that means all the chains are connected. Because if users want to withdraw funds to that chain, you can simply use that bridge and call functionality and then move your funds from that exchange to the chain that you are on, right? So basically the Binance chain, let's say if it is connected to Polygon POS, you want to move your funds from chain XYZ, which is a gaming chain, you can simply move your funds with, like, assuming Binance adds that functionality, you can move your fund directly from Binance to your own chain natively. So those kind of functionalities, unified liquidity, I already talked about that, on all of these chains, the value can flow without any foundations of liquidity. Many of you guys who use these third-party bridges, they know that these bridges will have, the bridges have to maintain the liquidity on both the sides. And if you want to move the funds, if the bridge runs off the liquidity on the other side, you cannot move the funds. Whereas on ag layer, because if the chains are natively connected into ag layer, how we are building this is that the liquidity is free flowing. Like, you can move infinite number of tokens safely from one chain to another without the bridge or the shared bridge maintaining liquidity or needing additional liquidity provisioning on those chains. And if you want to dig more into that, like definitely discuss more about that. And then this is the high level architecture of ag layer. It is like right now the V0 is available on Ethereum, and there are like few chains, 4 or 5 chains are connected into it. But in future, once it docks out of the Ethereum main chain, then it's going to be a much lower cost, like the layer where all these chains can connect into the ag layer. They have like two kinds of proofs. We have like come up with this proof which we call pessimistic proof, which is more of a proof of that chains are not misbehaving with each other. And then if you want to secure as a user, if you want to be safe from the sequencer misbehavior, then you can add full execution proofs. And for that, you guys know, like, I mean, Polygon ZK is generally considered in terms of research and all is like one of the leading firms in the space. And this, like, with our type 1 provers on EVM, type 1, type 2, and other kind of provers like SP1, for example, which Mustafa is talking, is also built on Polygon technology called Plonky 3. So it's essentially like SP1 is a library which enables you, if you have a Rust code, you can take any Rust code and pass it through SP1, and it generates you a Plonky 3 proof on the other side, Plonky 3 prover on the other side. And so Plonky 2, Plonky 3 proving libraries from Polygon is like, generally it looks like the industry is converging towards that. We see already a lot of protocols who, even the ZK protocols itself, like slowly converging into that. So I mean, the proving system, anybody can use pessimistic proof as a baseline, and then if you want for the chain misbehavior across each other, and if you want to if you want to secure your users from even the sequencer misbehavior, then you can use the full execution proofs. So that is the rough architecture of AgLayer. We can, if you want to look deeper into it, you could go into the documentation. So roughly, that's the whole idea here. AgLayer plus Polygon CDK. Polygon CDK here is a kind of descriptor term for like you using any chain. But in future, you would be able to use OP stack, hopefully Arbitrum Orbit, and any other interesting stack, or for that matter, any chain like you could fork like Polygon POS chain or Ethereum mainnet itself, launch your chain and connect into the AgLayer. All of those functionalities should be easily possible with AgLayer. Currently, we offer like Polygon CDK only, but together they could achieve, as I said, the quest for infinite TPS, which we need if we want DeFi, gaming, all of these like mass use cases to grow. So unlimited scalability, unified liquidity, that's the mission of Polygon, and that's the mission of AgLayer. I rest my case here. Thank you.